This video is only one part of an in-depth review, so check out the rest at thegoodride.com. Thanks for watching. Welcome to The Good Ride. I'm James Beastie, and I try to make mediocre matter one good setup at a time. This is the Rossignol Jibsaw. Next to it is the Juggernaut. And I rode both these boards same day, same boots, Burton Kendos, same bindings, either Contact Pros or Union Atlas, in a wide variety of conditions from hard snow to medium to firm, but fair, like a benevolent taskmaster. To give you a short summary, the Rossignol Jibsaw is a board we've loved year over year for many a year, and it's just such a recommendable hard snow mountain freestyle board. It's great if you're an all mountain rider and you want something for hard to icy snow, but you have a directional tapered board for powder that floats better. It's great if you want to just ride centered all the time in everything from hard to icy snow to even some powder, and you just want to treat the mountain like a park, but also go into the park. It's not as good as you would think for its name in jibbing, but it is excellent in the pipe and on jumps. It's a very well-rounded mountain freestyle ride. When it comes to sizing, I like the 57. I also like the 55. I think I'd prefer the 55, but this 57 was no slouch either. It handled my size 9 boots really well and my 195 pounds, 190 to 195 pounds really well too. I kind of like the 55 for just playing around and having more of a specific hard snow, buttery, playful, kind of do everything kind of board. But if you were like my specs and like speed a little bit more, you might like the 57. But keep all the regular sizes under 10, all their mid-wide sizes 10-ish to 12. And it doesn't really go much past 12. Then you start to get toe-heel drag. Now when it comes to shape, true twin here, centered stance, and it's got a cool camber profile that is camber well past the bindings, and then it goes into a mellow early rise. And as you can see on this board, it doesn't look like a lot of early rise, but wood bends differently from board to board. So your rocker or camber might be more pronounced or less pronounced than this one. That's just how it is in the industry. Wood is wood. It does not act the same way every time. But overall, it's a very easy board to one foot and to flat base on long flat cat tracks or down a long flat groomer. It has this very consistent feel underfoot in everything from hard snow to powder and everything in between. It does a great job being predictable and consistent. It feels a little more catchy than all three of the Rossignol mountain boards, the 1LF, the Resurgence, and the Revenant. Those boards are a little easier to skid their turns, but this is still in that kind of moderate realm that doesn't feel too locked in like the Juggernaut, and can be forgiving if you skid your turns and get off your game, like I do often. Stock flex here. Got kind of a medium to medium stiff flex. It does not feel that chill here. Let's compare that to the Juggernaut, which is even stiffer. It's just got so much going on from nose to tail stiffness wise. But when you get this on snow, it does not feel as stiff. It was very easy for me to butter. Not as easy as the all mountain boards, the 1LF, the Resurgence, and the Revenant. Check those reviews out too. But it is very doable. It was kind of that just right, where the Juggernaut felt like it took a lot more work for me to do it. It was doable, surprisingly so for that flex. I just felt like the sweet spot, that Goldilocks just right in the middle, was the Jibsaw. I wish that one of those all mountain boards had the Jibsaw's camber profile, because it was just such a fun board to butter, and it had more pop than all the all mountain boards, and I really like that. I think this pop is perfect. It's not super poppy, but it has a lot of pop for a Rossi board. The Juggernaut had more pop, but it also took a lot more work to make it do that. So Depends on what kind of rider you are. If you're like me, you probably want this guy. Now, when it comes to speed, both were very competent for mountain riding. They really did a good job. This Jibsaw does such a good job at not chattering too much. You can feel a little bit in the nose and tail, but it doesn't really come through into the board and come up into you. It stops at the bindings. I was riding some pretty damp bindings, but even with the less damp bindings, the Contact Pros, I was fine. And I like that. It's got good mountain speed. It can handle uneven terrain really well. It's not quite as fun as the 1LF with the light frame technology in it. That was just a little bit more damp, but this did a good job, and so did the Juggernaut. They could both handle an all-day riding, and they won't be that fatiguing on your joints and your body, and just to turn at the end of the day. They're almost just as good as the beginning. When it comes to edge hold, this is one of the first boards I think of when somebody tells me they want a hard sew specialist and they don't want to set their board back in powder, or they have a directional board already for powder. This is the one. It is just such a fun, well-rounded, hard snow board that works with a wide variety of riders because of this edge hold. It has 7S where the Juggernaut has 5S. 5S is no slouch either. It's more of a pronounced bump in the middle and then very mellow mag up to the nose and tail. This is just as pronounced in the middle, but doesn't mellow out as much as you get to the nose and tail. Still, it's been refined over the years, and the old, when they used to call this Magna Traction when they were affiliated with Mervin, long story for another time, but when they were and called it Magna Traction, it was a little more aggressive, a little more sticky and soft snow, but now it's a lot better. It still grabs in soft snow more than the 5S, but it grips in harder snow a little bit better too, and so it makes it one of the best boards for hard snow riding. Now, when it comes to turn initiation, both these boards are pretty quick. It's funny, I felt like the Juggernaut, maybe because it's just a little smaller, was a little faster initiating a turn, but just by a little bit, and it had a little more pop and snap edge to edge, initiating and going through that turn. But this Jibsaw was so much better than the 1LF, the Resurgence, and the Revenant when it comes to turning. There was just more pop, there was more energy out of the turn. It just felt like it was a much more dynamic turner. I really wouldn't expect that for a mountain freestyle board versus those all mountain boards. I thought one of them, at least one of them, would have a camber profile that's like this and would turn like this. And that was the one thing I was missing out of those boards. But I wasn't here with the Jibsaw. This thing jammed. It was really good and really fun to turn. Yeah, the Juggernaut was better, but it came with so much more consequence that I almost preferred the Jibsaw carving in almost all types of conditions. It's just such a fun ride. Now, powder, these are centered stand sports. They don't set back like the 1LF, the Resurgence, and the Revenant. Those can set back and get directional float. While these might have a lot more positive qualities when it comes to turning and carving, riding the mountain, those boards have much better directional float, so they shine in powder. I guess that's what Rossi was going for, where these won't. You get these if you want to ride centered, because you can't set these back much or at all on board. Now, when it comes to switch riding, I loved riding this switch. It's just, the only thing better is an asymmetrical twin, but this is like at the top of switch riding. Both of these were. But the forgiving nature of the Jibsaw was more fun to ride switch than the Juggernaut, because the Juggernaut was just so aggressive and catchy and unforgiving in some moods of riding that I would feel more confident daily riding on the Jibsaw. But man, that Juggernaut was fun too. And the Juggernaut is kind of the big jump board and going big in the pipe. The Jibsaw is a little more friendly towards jibbing, like its name, but it's actually more fun for us, hitting kickers and riding pipe for me. Kickers for Nick, pipe for me. I love this board and pipe. I like the Juggernaut and pipe too, but this was a little more forgiving, and I'm not a super strong pipe rider, so I like that forgiving nature. A little bit of camber to drive when I want to, but still that forgiving feeling. If I get a little off my game, I have a better chance at recovering with this than I do the Juggernaut. But all around, really balanced park ride for just about anything, but really shines at jumps and pipe for me personally. Overall, I think the Jibsaw is still one of my favorite boards, and year over year, I just love this ride. I always find myself recommending it to people who maybe don't see a lot of powder or any and ride a lot of hard snow, or they just want an ice specialist or a mountain freestyle board that's ready for ice to go along with their quiver. I think this is one of their most recommendable rides in Rossi's line. This and the XV are two of my favorites. I just love them. All our reviews are a best effort, objective opinion from an average rider's perspective. There's no brand oversight, and we're free to say whatever we want. We send back everything unless it's a favorite, then we ask to keep those or straight up buy them. Now, if you need advice, fill out the Me Harmony profile in the Contact Us section of the site. It's the only way I can help you properly. If you want to support us, and if what we reviewed appeals to you, it helps if you buy through our links. So, thanks for watching.